Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Today's episode is Doomsday, episode 13 of season 2. Daleks, Cybermen, and Rose dies? Can this day get any worse? Oh right, Torchwood. This episode is written by Russell T. Davis, directed by Graham Harper. It originally aired on the 8th of July, 2006, and it had an average viewing of 8.22 million viewers. And except for the World Cup games, this is the second most watched TV program of that week.
Wow. That's a lot.
We are burning a hole in time and space to conference in Josh. Say hello.
Hello, I'm in the universe of Burbank.
Via FaceTime.
Universe.
Hi, this is Frank.
Arlene.
Brian.
Hey, it's Kelsey.
Hello, this is Auburn.
And this is Eugene. In the Sphere Room, Rose identifies the Daleks by name. She points out that she, a human, knows about them and the Time War. If they want to know how, they must keep her, Mickey, and Raj alive. This makes the Daleks pause for a moment, but then they use their sucker arms to drain Raj's brain, killing him. From his knowledge, they learn of a second alien species and send Dalek Thay to investigate. Meanwhile, the Cybermen detect alien technology in the Sphere Room and deploy 2 Cybermen to do the same.
This is another great example now of Rose coming into her own and learning from the Doctor because she's using words as a weapon. She's using her words to survive. So she's just kind of instantaneously making up, hey, I know about you and don't kill me because you got to figure out why. Love it.
So do we know why the sphere activates? Because if the Daleks and the Cybermen didn't have any connection, like what was it about the energy that caused the sphere to... Did I miss it?
We're never really told, but I just kind of see it as all this activity going through of pushing into a universe wakes the sphere up.
Okay.
Yeah, they never tell us. I always speculated that it had something to do with the first time they go to Pete's world. Way back when. Because they said that we weren't supposed to be able to do that, and the Time Lords kept that from happening, and there are no more Time Lords, so they were able to bleed through the first place. So I think that somehow did the crack to start the sphere activating, there's a way out of this. Now's the time to come through. Mm-hmm. And time travels differently. I remember they said in Pete's world, time didn't travel the same.
Time does not travel at the same speed in Pete's world. It's quicker.
When did they say that?
I thought they did
in this episode. They say how it's been 3 years since the Cybermen disappeared. So they fought on Pete's world. They fought the Cybermen, and then the Cybermen disappeared 3 years ago. And in our universe, it's only been a couple months.
Oh, I remember them talking about that, but I didn't catch that reasoning.
Yeah, there is not to break the timeline, but I'm gonna. The Doctor does specifically state later on that time travels differently at a different rate in that universe.
Yeah, but they never say why the sphere.
No, they never do.
It was just never questioned, never brought up.
It's convenient.
Yeah, but
this is when it happens.
And I like your idea that it was a way of knowing that the Time Lords were gone, that, they're traveling between. That makes sense to me. I'll buy it.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just want to point out, I like when the cyber leader goes to Yvonne and says, contact your Central World Authority. And I love her line of, do some research. We don't have one.
And it was basically, take me to your leader.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, stop it.
And he's like, you have one now.
Yeah. Dalek Sec states that they must protect the Genesis Ark, a device that arrived with them above all else. The Cybermen and Daleks establish visual communication with each other. After a bunch of biomechanical trash talk, Dalek Thay kills the 2 Cybermen. The Cyber leader says the Daleks have just declared war, and Dalek Sec notices the Doctor behind the Cyber leader. Now the Daleks are scared. He orders the other Daleks to increase work to prepare the Genesis Ark.
Yeah, I felt this is where you first started to see something was up with the Daleks, because he started to get kind of snarky.
Oh, you mean your cyber mama is so ugly?
It is funny how it's like a computer talking to another computer and they have the same logic, sort of, but different catchphrases: delete, exterminate, delete, exterminate.
Yeah.
But they're also working, I think, at opposite ends.
Yeah.
The Cybermen are saying, our systems are compatible. We can, assimilate you as a Borg.
Yeah.
Upgrade, and you can be part of us, and we can join. And Daleks are saying, no, if you're different than us, you must be exterminated.
And that's what you said before, how the Cybermen are includers and the
Right.
Daleks are excluders.
It just sounded more like two Alexas talking to each other.
Or Alexa and Siri.
There you go. Like having a conversation, and they just weren't.
And they put that on somewhere. I was listening to it last week. That they had two computers talking to each other, and they were trying to answer, and they got a little snippy. I forgot about that.
In the reality of the Doctor Who universe, the Daleks and the Cybermen would not say those things to each other. This is pest control. I mean, I don't see Daleks doing that.
But still, it was great.
But who cares? It's fantastic.
It was fun.
I loved it. I think it's hysterical every time I see it, and I just go with it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about before with the what it was when he mentions that these Daleks are different. There's something different about them.
Yeah.
That you haven't gotten to yet, but I think that's sort of the first hint of them being different.
Yeah, and I mean, we learn later that they have names, which is un-Dalek-like.
Oh, spoiler. I was trying to avoid that.
Well, we
appreciate
already
that.
named Dalek Thay, so that's why I figured it's okay to say the name now.
Well, you're wrong. Josh was right.
Well, then don't write it, Frank.
I did like while the doctor was walking around behind, he was on the phone with Rose. You know, all this technology that Torchwood has, that the doctor has at his disposal. He uses a cell phone. You know, not even like a nice, like jacked up cell phone, but Jackie's cell phone to call Rose.
Yeah.
And just like the simple thing of being able to listen in on a conversation gave him that intelligence of the Genesis arc of like that these Daleks are a little bit different, like being able to listen in on their conversation. That was just neat, like with all the technology at their disposal, that they were able to utilize something that, you know, we all carry around with us.
I can relate to.
Yeah.
I love how the Daleks are terrified of the Doctor. Well, you want me to tell you who that is? That's the Doctor. And they all back up. They shake them. They back them just to convey their emotion. And so they're just giving that little backup, you know, it conveys so much emotion. And I love Rose just being like, oh, you're scared now, aren't you?
Right.
And even Dalek Sect is shaking when he talks. I think that's funny. The Cybermen take Jackie and Yvonne to be upgraded while keeping the Doctor to be questioned. As Yvonne enters the conversion chamber, she keeps saying she was doing her duty for Queen and country. Back in the control room, the Doctor watches as Jake and an armed team from Pete's world materialize and kill the Cyber Leader. The Cyberman holding Jackie learns of the death of their Cyber Leader and lets her go. He approaches another Cyberman and is upgraded to be the new Cyber Leader. Jackie runs into the stairwell to escape. I like how we still have the Cybermen as kind of the whipping boys for violence. We see the Cyber Leader's head blow up.
Yeah.
And his milky blood comes out. Just like in Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
That was just brain sinew because they don't have blood.
We don't
It's
know
the
what that
brain.
is. It was shaving cream.
I do like how Jackie runs away. I know there's this stiff upper lip thing with
Brits?
Yvonne and like, you know, going to her demise or her whatever is next.
With dignity and fortitude.
Right. But I do also like how Jackie is smart enough to resist until an opportunity presents itself and then get out of there.
Yeah.
When you're going to your death, like there's no reason to like hasten that or to play along. Like you should resist until you can't resist, in my opinion.
And in this case, it was lucky for Jackie that the Cyber Leader got killed so that it gives her that opportunity to escape.
Right, because you never know when something's going to happen and you can get out of there
Yeah.
instead of just walking in to get your brain chopped open.
By the sound of a buzzsaw.
But I think she did that because she felt guilty because of all the research that she did, and she technically brought him in. So she's feeling guilty, and now she's going to go and, you know, get what she deserves, but just also she's doing the best she can. And
I thought she just gave up hope. I thought she didn't see any way out of it. It was their control, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. But she had no control. She had no hope. She had no fight in that point. It's like I was doing what's right. Everything should work out.
I feel like her saying for Queen and Country and everything was her, like, this is my defense. I'm strong. I can do this, and I'm gonna take my punishment.
I don't see it as take her punishment. I see it as accept her fate.
Except for fate. Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
Better words.
she's like 100%. I'm going to die, and I'm going to die
Because it's
British.
Because it's my choice.
I'm going to die stiff upper lip with resolve. And the whole time Jackie's going, "You did this."
I think that the actress who plays Jackie really sold a lot of the emotional arc of this whole episode. It's starting with that scene there. I felt like there was nothing cartoony about the way that she was dealing with, Cybermen and having their brains being ripped out and things like that. I think she's the one that made it feel as intense as it was, I think.
I agree with you.
I also wondered, when Jake's team jumps in,
Yeah.
what are the gas masks for?
Extras that have been recycled.
That's what I wondered,
Right?
because Jake immediately takes the mask off, and that's fine because
Yeah.
he's got words. And some of the others don't. Some of the others don't throughout the whole episode. They've got their gas masks on the whole time. And I just wanted, once Rose or the doctor to ask if they were her mommy.
I always thought they just cut a scene. They're just,
Oh, there was
there
an
was a
excellent-
reason for them wearing gas masks just in case.
Yeah.
and
And
they just
find
cut it
something
out.
where it would have that. Maybe that's a tactic that the Cybermen used on their planet, where they would use gas because they didn't have to breathe. It just seemed like there's some reason that got omitted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you also notice that they all have the devices around their necks on simple chains?
Yeah.
But Jake has it on this big, huge
Right.
hip hop rap
Lanyard thing.
bling thing.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just like, he's really rocking that device there.
He dropped his before, and he's not going to drop it again.
It makes me wonder if Mickey, when he crossed over, had the gas mask too, because that was just a precautionary thing, and then he ditched it because he didn't need it, and then that's what they're doing. That's just explaining it away.
Possibly.
But
it
then-
just seems to
yeah,
be an odd detail
no, I get
to
it,
write
I get it.
in
Yeah.
if you're not going to use it.
Yeah.
Or even
cool.
mention it. A little
Part
bit
of the
creepy,
costume.
I guess, yeah.
Well, and it was a good way to differentiate our world's soldiers from their world's soldiers. It's one of those things where,
True, but our world soldiers are all dead by this point.
yeah,
But without a storyline to it, it is an odd thing to choose to differentiate. Not a uniform, not a patch, something that looks different, but the gas mask is for a certain reason. And so
Yes.
it seems like there should be something. That's why I'm hoping they omitted part of the storyline, got a cut.
Jake secures the control room and tells the doctor that the Torchwood on his world made these portable devices so they can transport here. He hands one to the doctor and transports both of them to the parallel world where Pete is now in charge. The Cybermen there infiltrated Torchwood and used its stolen alien technology to push themselves into our world. But the breach is causing worldwide environmental disaster. The more people travel between worlds, the more they are causing the planet's destruction. Jake, Pete, and the Doctor travel back to Earth 1 or Earth Prime or Dead Pete's world or whatever you want to call it.
When Pete takes the doctor around Torchwood Tower, their Torchwood Tower, he points out that the president is Harriet Jones.
Yay!
And we know who she is.
I'm aware. and then that they actually do have their golden age, where I feel like our or Earth Prime's golden age was kind of halted
Yes,
prematurely.
stopped. Yeah.
I kind of like that it actually happened. We just didn't get it in our world.
I found it interesting that Pete's belief in the doctor is what got the doctor going.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
nice.
He's like, you think I can do all this? Okay, that's maybe all I need. It's just that.
Well, the
belief in
doctor
it.
has been hearing from everybody. Like, I feel like last episode and the beginning of this episode, people telling Doctor what he can't do and then, contradicting him. And so maybe he just needed that one little push.
Mickey wonders why the Daleks are keeping them alive. Rose tells him about the background radiation that surrounds people who travel in time in the TARDIS. The Daleks can use that radiation as a power source. The first time she met a Dalek, she touched it and brought it to life. So don't touch the Genesis Ark. Mickey wonders why they would build something they couldn't open by themselves, and Dalek replies that the Ark is Time Lord technology stolen during the Time War.
This is interesting stuff because you really don't know what's going on.
No, I mean, I think this is the most we've heard of the Time War outside of the Doctor telling us about the Time War.
Yeah. So you got all these mentions of the Time War, but then it's also this Genesis arc. Like, what is it?
Yeah, and even the Doctor doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
and I also like that it's not just that Torchwood is stealing alien technology. It's like this is something that is happening, throughout the galaxy or the universe. Is when you encounter other races and technologies, you take what you can and use it. I guess the Cybermen didn't really use the Dalek void sphere on purpose, but still, when there was an opportunity,
They took it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that because the Doctor always knows what everything is for the most part, especially if it's some piece of technology. He just rattles it. Oh, that's one of those. Oh, they're using one of those. So for him not to know what the Ark was, and the fact it was Time Lord technology. I felt that was a really cool thing to put in there.
Yeah, I agree.
like that.
And I think it's a really cool piece of technology too, that if they were using it for the Time War, that they were using technology that had physical touch, because the Daleks cannot touch. So it's something that if they stole it, they wouldn't really be able to use it. So it makes sense that the Doctor wouldn't know it, because it'd be like, ooh, they're top secret stuff that they're working on.
He even does say later in the episode, both sides had secrets.
I also found it funny that the Cult of Skaro, the 4 Daleks that have survived, they kind of dance around the Ark, and it looks
Yeah.
like synchronized swimming.
Yeah. They like rotate
Yeah, several
sucker
times.
here
Yeah.
and then rotate sucker and
I'm like,
rotate sucker.
what are you doing? It just looks cool. I don't know.
They're priming the Genesis arc.
When it was interesting to see them also with Mickey and Rose there, kind of, they all had to choreograph their movements, because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure that, Billy Piper and Noel Clark, were probably a little scared too, because they're big things. I don't know how they were moving, but there's a lot of choreography that needed to happen to make sure nobody bumped into anything or
Yeah.
ruined a take, or they did a pretty good
Or
job.
step on somebody else's mark, which could be a disaster in this
Yeah.
case.
I do also like how Rose and Mickey are talking quietly, like, why are they keeping us alive? Oh, well, here's the radiation. Oh, well, the radiation would work for you too. Well, why would they have technology? And then the Dalek just goes, it's not our technology. It's like, oh, you've been listening. Okay, great. Well, thank you. Thank you for that bit. The Daleks instruct Rose to place her hand on the Ark or they will kill Mickey. She stalls by asking them if they want to know what happened to the Emperor after the Time War. Rose tells them he survived until he met her. She destroyed him, turned him into dust. Before they can exterminate her, the Doctor strolls into the room wearing his 3D glasses. Rose tells him that these Daleks have actual names: Dalek Sek, Dalek Thay, Dalek Jast, and Dalek Khan. And Peggy. Sorry, Hamilton joke. They are the Cult of Skaro, a group of 4 Daleks set aside with a mission to imagine and try to think like the enemy. The Doctor learns that the Ark is of Time Lord design and that it will somehow restore the Daleks. The Daleks believe the Doctor is harmless now, but he raises a sonic screwdriver and the doors blast open. Jake and Pete, along with some Cybermen, enter with guns a-blazing. Again, Rose is using words as a weapon. She's using words to stall. This is her way of, all right, well, they're going to kill us. I'm going to have fun. And she's kind of doing it in a Doctor way, where she's like, she walks up to the Ark and she's like, all right, I'll do it, but first. And then she starts stalling. And I love how she's like, by the way, you want to know what happened to the Emperor? The Emperor, like, I didn't just kill him. I turned him to dust. And I mean, she's taunting them. And she's really enjoying it. She laughs in the Dalek's eye stalk. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's played just enough. You can still believe this is happening in this life-threatening moment.
Absolutely.
And then, it provokes the Dalek into killing her, which means she hasn't touched the Genesis Ark.
It also reminded me of an Eccleston type thing that he would do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
she's learning things from the Doctor, both personalities,
Yeah, because this is almost like Eccleston in the episode Dalek.
Yes.
Where he's walking around going, oh, you don't know what happened? You want me to tell you what happened? You're all dead. It's very similar to that.
Yeah.
I like the Cult of Skaro. The first time I heard about these guys in this episode, I was like, wow, that's what the Daleks would do. They would set aside a couple Daleks to imagine, to feel, to do things un-Dalek-like, to give them weapons that are unconventional to Dalek thinking.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
The Daleks ask the Doctor how he survived the Time War, and he said, by fighting. I was on the front line. They cut to a look of Mickey turning around, and what do you guys get from why they put that scene in, why they put that reaction shot? What did Mickey think at that time?
I took it as he was surprised to hear that the Doctor was as much of a soldier. Like, the Doctor's always this swashbuckling, fast-talking guy who kind of makes himself look good. But to hear that he actually fought in a war in that way, I think, and the fact that Mickey now has been fighting as a soldier, I felt that he was kind of impressed by that, or taken by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Impressed, respect, like fellow soldier respect. And then also, like, I don't know, like there's something that Mickey now can relate to the Doctor with.
Yeah.
I like that they put that in.
Yeah, because the only reason why Mickey has survived this long is because he is fighting on the front lines.
Yeah.
So
I also kind of just like the line itself. I was at the fall of Arcadia, and one day I might be able to come to terms with that. There's a lot behind that sentiment. It happens in real life, too.
Mickey is accidentally pushed against the Genesis Ark by one of the Cybermen during the fight. Pete grabs Rose and they all escape, but the Ark is now powered by Mickey's touch. It needs space to open, so the Daleks begin to move it. Pete, Rose, Mickey, and the Doctor run through the Torchwood corridors and find Jackie. Pete destroys 2 Cybermen who are about to kill her, and then they stare at each other. They know that each other is not really their loved one, but they run to each other and hug.
I got tears in my eyes watching this scene.
I was moved as well.
It was a moving scene, but I'm like, there's a war going on around you people.
I don't care.
No, I'm thinking that's what's so great about the scene. You need some moments of quiet to bring you down from your adrenaline going and with all this war that's going on. The whole episode is more action-packed than the first one. So there is a lot more revved up, and you need these quiet times, but this is still riveting, and it's a different type of action. Just, you know these two people. You've grown to know these two people through some of the episodes in the past, and that they are coming together. I think it's such a great way to slow the pace down, but still keep your interest, because you know that they're going to finally get together, where they were both dead to each other, literally. In this. So I think it needed a place in the pace of the show to slow down, and I think they filled it really well with this.
And if we can't have emotional moments like this, then what are we fighting for?
No, it was great. The great emotion. I think it was really brought out of it because it was, I don't know if this episode, because of all of the close-ups, but their makeup was so bad. It was so bad. Jackie had like blue almost all the way up to her eyebrows.
Yeah.
And then like Rose's cheeks were
Rose's cheeks, yeah.
like so red that when she cried later on in the episode, there was like white streaks down her cheeks, and it was so gross. So I don't know what it was. It was the close-ups.
Was it the makeup? Was it the lighting? A combination of the two?
Combination.
You're doing the long makeup for that time?
Because of HD might have been starting to become more new or more prevalent then.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't HD, though. It's not filmed in HD.
Never mind.
But that could be it, because it was filmed in standard def, but we're watching it on an HD TV.
It usually
Maybe.
doesn't show up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like
No, this was
that.
just bad makeup. Even I noticed it.
All right.
It's just like really
just trying to
brings
give
you
them
out.
something.
Like,
Yeah.
because sometimes they would do her makeup differently, just so like, oh, she's more smoldering, sexy in this one. But this was just like she practiced putting on makeup and she didn't do it right. So
Well, for me, this is one of the my favorite scenes of all of Doctor Who. I just love this scene so much. The acting is great, and I mean, I love Jackie with the "It's not fair." You know,
Why him?
You know, you're bringing back ghosts. This isn't fair. And then she slowly learns what's going on and accepting it, and just spot on acting, spot on Jackie. Jokes. This heavy moment, she can deliver a joke. How very. It's so well done. But I really like Pete in this moment, because the actor makes a really subtle change. Up until this point in the episode, Pete's been in charge. Pete's been the one giving orders and yelling at people and saying, do this, do this, do this. The next time you see it, watch the actor. Watch what Pete does. He's now suddenly that bloke in the flat again. And he's like, hi, Jax. You know, and he's like, you know, I got lucky. In my world, it worked. And he's saying it with a little shrug. He's not the authoritarian guy in charge when he's talking to Jackie. He's completely the man she married, who gets her name wrong in that moment. I love it.
And I think Jackie yells at the Doctor to shut up. And you can see it on Pete's face where he's like, oh, I know her. But before it's like, not my wife, not my wife. And then when she yells at the Doctor, he's like, oh no, this is my wife.
Yeah.
And now he has, like Brian says, like a different demeanor. He's
dealing with Jackie, his wife. And this is how he
Like a
talks to her.
second chance. He's confronted with a second chance, sort of.
I mean, his wife, who he thought was gone and is gone.
Yeah.
But is standing in front of him, and suddenly, you know,
He realizes. it's
you know,
pretty
and
much-
for him, it's been years. You know, it's been at least 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know, but, you know, if you ever go back to a high school reunion, you suddenly start acting like you did in high school, and
Yeah.
some of us hate that.
Or when you talk to your parents.
Yeah,
That's true.
I like the reactions of everybody.
I do
Yeah.
too.
You know, if you look at Mickey when Jackie tells the Doctor to shut up, you know, his looking at him is great. It's just a little bit. And Rose's feeling of seeing her two parents
And her hands up to
together
her
for the
mouth.
first time
Yeah.
for her. You know, just there's so much that they're doing and acting without saying the lines, and just having it in the background and not distracting from the main
Yes.
action that's
Yes.
going on, but still
Exactly.
reacting to it.
Yeah,
It's
they're
a
all
great
in the
scene.
moment.
Yeah.
And the editing is also very good on this in this scene to sell that.
Yeah, when they cut into Jackie,
Slightly.
you can really see with Rose where she's just like freaking out, but not wanting to react because she doesn't want to ruin the moment. You know, like, okay, I want them to get together, kind of a thing. Like,
But it's also, oh my God, what's my mom going to be doing? Oh, what she must be feeling, and wanting to go there and not,
but she can't. She
not
won't.
interrupting it. It's so much is going on.
But even
there.
in the humorous moments where Jackie's like, it's been 20 years. Oh, there was never anyone else.
And then
notice they cut to both Mickey and the Doctor, but you notice they don't look at each other.
Yeah.
But I think they both kind of know, like, yeah, right. But I think had they looked at each other and kind of did a little, yeah, right, I think that would have been too much.
Right.
But no, we get both of them just reacting on their own in a two-shot. It's just played perfectly. I love this scene.
And then back to what was mentioned before about how the Doctor is explaining why there can be this Pete.
Right.
And then Jackie tells him to shut up. And he's like, okay, I need to back away.
You got it. I'm out of here.
And I like that.
Yeah, I do too. Oh, not the time.
But remember when we saw him last,
You're talking about Pete?
Pete,
Okay.
his relationship with his wife was not good.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's seeing this Jackie, it's like the Jackie that he fell in love with when they first got married.
Yeah.
So it's like even more nostalgia. Like, you brought back my wife, but in a better time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never anyone else.
Of course.
Was that also during this conversation that Jackie, I think to Pete, said that she had done nothing with her life?
She just stayed in the flat.
And so that was also a good callback to the previous episode where Rose said that she had done nothing with her, for 19 years. But, again, with Russell, I think is the common person, and like that common life of just living your life is what, is most important to the Doctor. And, even to our characters, like when they think that they haven't done anything, they find out, or they support each other enough to say, oh, you raised Rose, you did all this, you did that. That was a nice little moment. I mean, in addition to the romance.
Yeah.
The Daleks continue to battle their way to a hangar where Dalek Sec takes the Ark out through the open roof. Above Canary Wharf, the Genesis Ark opens, releasing a horde of Daleks. Time Lord science. The Ark was bigger on the inside. The Daleks and Cybermen square off against each other, killing humans along the way. The Doctor reveals his plan and what's up with the glasses. Anyone who traveled through the void has void stuff, which is visible with the 3D glasses, around them. He will send those who have traveled to or from Pete's world back to it and activate the breach only on this side. Anything left with void stuff on this Earth will be sucked back into the void and the breach will close. Pete's world will be safe, but sealed off. I think the bigger on the inside is a great reveal.
I remember sitting watching this a few years ago, and when that happened, was totally bamboozled by the lead up. Like, I didn't see it coming at all, and I think I audibly said, some explanation I won't say right now.
But then when it happens, don't you just kind of go, well, of course, it's bigger on the inside.
I thought it was brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Because the whole gimmick of the TARDIS has been like this. It's interesting at first, and then it becomes kind of like a well-known gimmick that people even make fun of.
It's a cliche.
And then to use that as the huge plot device in this big finale was just brilliant.
Yeah, I was exactly the same way. I do remember the first time seeing this episode and just audibly exclaiming when it turned out to be bigger on the inside.
How could we not have figured that out by now?
We not figured it out.
But that it was a prison.
And then to flip the wordage when he calls the void stuff, like something so brilliant to it's void stuff.
But that it was a prison, that the Time Lords actually kept the Daleks in there as they were.
Yeah, it was a prison
During the war.
ship. Yeah. I mean, I imagine Russell's writing process, and when he starts, all these things start to just tie together so well. Can't you just see him just being like, I got it. Yes. Hooray.
Hooray for me. Rewinding a little bit, I did not like how it was covered that Mickey touched the Ark. I wanted more. It just felt quick. Too quick.
The action revolved around that moment, and they didn't have it on camera. I found that odd as well.
Yeah.
I noticed the Doctor picked up 2 clamps. It's like, okay, so he already has the plan of what he's going to do here, at least, if not even further back in the episode. He knows exactly what to do and to get rid of everybody, to get rid of the 2 threats. Because he's in there, he picks up 2 clamps.
Yeah,
so
one's a backup. There's 2 levers.
Exactly. So who is he going to have help him? Because he has 2 levers and 2 clamps.
But you can go and you can do one lever, and then you run across the room before the rift is open and open up the other lever. You just don't know which side you're going to be on at the time.
Or he uses them like suction cups. He turns one on and one off to get to the other side.
thought it was a cute little bit with Jake, because I was wondering where he went when they're all running around
Yes.
in the hallways. And then they're like, oh, we have to go back to the top. That's 45 more stories to walk
And
up.
then Jackie, I've been through them.
And then Jake just pops up. We can take the lift. It's right here.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was expecting that kind of Marvel, and whenever they're done now, where they're all just standing in the elevator with music playing as they're going up.
I also want to mention, I think it was in this section we finally got our X-ray Dalek laser fire that
Yes.
didn't get to see because the Cybermen didn't have the X-ray.
Like a
deaths.
shield or shielding,
Yeah. Well, they would just like glow a little bit, I think.
and then explode some
Yeah.
parts of them. But then we got that innocent bystander with
Yeah.
the X-ray effect.
About time.
Yes, thank you for dying because the effect is great.
There is the old saying that if you're not part of the problem, you're part of the problem, you're not part of the solution. And here the Doctor switches that to be the Daleks and the Cybermen are part of the problem. Therefore, they're part of the solution. I just like that little twist that he just said, of course, they're going to be part of the solution of how to do this.
So 2 negatives make a positive.
And he's so manic while he's talking about it, you know. Even the shot of him with the void stuff, he's just kind of like, hey, hey, hey. Yeah, he's very 10th Doctor at this moment. Very un-9th Doctor.
Oh yeah, for sure. Rose refuses to leave the Doctor, and as she says her goodbye to Jackie, the Doctor slips a transport device around her neck, and Pete takes the group back to his world. Rose won't stand for it and reactivates the disc, leaving Jackie, Pete, Mickey, and Jake on the parallel world. When she reappears, the Doctor tells her she will never be able to see her mother again. Rose reminds him it was her choice and asks what is needed to help. As the Cybermen approach the control room, one Cyberman or Cyberwoman blocks their way and begins shooting. She is doing her duty for Queen and country.
I thought it was, again, a little brilliant thing when they put the thing on Rose and they zapped her away, but how could you not think that she was going to just zap herself back?
Yeah, I know, but then we wouldn't have the ending we have.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah.
I also like her line of "You're not doing this to me again."
Yeah.
Because he did it to her once. He did it at the end of Parting of the Ways when he tricks her to run into the TARDIS.
With the hologram.
He runs out of the TARDIS and sends the TARDIS back to Earth. And she was pissed.
I like the eye contact between Pete and the Doctor.
Yeah.
It just was great. It wasn't big. It was just subtle. You're going to save her. Okay, I'm ready when you are. He sees her put on and activates them all.
Yeah.
All the devices.
And did you also notice, though, Rose goes back and she says, what do I do to help? And the Doctor's like, fine. And he runs over, he says, all the coordinates, set all the coordinates to 6. Now, the void is called hell, and the coordinates are all 6s.
So it's a throwback almost to Satan's Pit.
Yeah, another callback to 666.
Because if you think of the axis XYZ, 3 6s for each of those. Just wanted to explain your thing more.
You have such a 3-dimensional mind.
Thank you. That made a lot of sense.
I'm sure it did. When Rose is arguing, she wants to stay and she's arguing for the fact to stay. She says something that reminded me of Eccleston's Doctor, where she said, this stupid planet, and where he's like, these stupid apes. It just the way she said it reminded me of Eccleston and how she's become more than just the shop girl.
Yeah, I can see that. There is a part of me when I'm watching that just being like, ouch.
Yeah, to her
You
mom,
know?
right?
I mean,
to her mom, yeah.
It's your mom. And I know you're in the heat of the moment. I know war's going on. Choices are going to be made, but it's just kind of like, ooh.
I like that she made the choice to go back. You know, you go back, you're like, yes, this is where she belongs. She made the hard decision to say goodbye to her mom. This is a decision she had to make. And now she's going to help the Doctor save the day. And you're like,
Yeah.
you settle back into that relationship. And
He's like, there's nothing I can do.
yeah,
Let's just keep going.
as a viewer, I'm like, yes, that was the right decision to make.
Very much so.
Yeah,
But it is still just kind of hurts when it's like, oh, she's really stabbing a knife into Jackie.
and twisting almost.
Yeah. I in the heat of the moment, I don't know what else she could have done differently.
I know you like this when I do this, Brian, but to go back to the hero's journey as a structure,
Oh, tell us, schoolboy.
this is Rose's commitment to the cause. So she's literally and metaphorically crossing the threshold to commit to the decision to save the world. And
So Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are dead, and he's in the land speeder saying, I want to learn the ways of the Force.
maybe.
Okay.
I think it's a little further than that if we take that as an example to juxtapose to. But yeah, that's how I took that.
But
That's why-
Rose made that decision. She made it clear. This is not your decision to make. It's mine.
Yeah.
So I like that. And she was,
Yeah.
Jackie knows.
And
this
please
is
don't
my decision.
misunderstand me. totally get the decision.
Oh, I know it's horrible for
you know,
Jackie,
but it's horrible for
it's
Jackie.
hard,
Yeah.
it's just tearing out.
And because I've reached the point now where I really, really feel for Jackie. I really like Jackie.
Yeah. But Yvonne, I think that was a little bit much.
I wrote that it was a bit far-fetched, but I don't care.
Well, when Jackie was turned into the Cybermen, she remembered
Yeah, she
her
did.
past.
That's true,
So
she did.
during just at least the beginning part of this transformation, so you do have that memory. And she was constantly reiterating for Queen and Country as she was being processed. So I could still see that stay, but it was the tear, the oil, coming out of the eye. It was a little bit much.
I kind of rationalize it in my brain as her up conversion wasn't completed properly because she was being converted when all hell started to break loose.
When they were rushing through, they said, rush it.
And, you know, their cyber leader had just been, his head had just blown up. They were getting a new cyber leader. And so her conversion just wasn't the best conversion ever.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a little leaky thing near the eye and, you know, a little bit more of the personality stayed.
Well, they do have tear ducts, so they have to use them.
Right, that's true. But it was, I don't know. There's something about Yvonne who, yes, she's a fascist, but there's a part of me that likes her character.
Yeah, I do like that moment.
Is she a cyber woman or are they all cybermen since they get rid of sex and gender and
Yeah, that is
fear and all
funny. They say that, but they're still cyber men.
Right, but is that just a
Because
generic...
cyber person sounds stupid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cyber being?
There is
But then she had,
an
like,
episode of Torchwood titled Cyber Woman. Yanto's
Girlfriend?
Yeah, Yanto from Torchwood is in this building, has been hiding his girlfriend who's partially converted. And so the team there, maybe 5 or 6 episodes in, discover that Yanto is taking care of this partially converted cyber woman who's his girlfriend. And Yanto thinks he can bring her back, and everybody else on the team thinks he can't. And so it's really kind of sad, but it does, and it also establishes that Yanto was in the building too. So characters that aren't in this episode are retroactively being shoved in somewhere.
And I do think this answers last week's question, or last episode's question, that the Daleks kick ass over the Cybermen because the Cybermen are trying to get back to the top, to go back to the other world.
Yeah, they're retreating.
They're retreating. Rather than trying to stop the Doctor and Rose, they're trying to get out. They're going, we'll go back and conquer that other world again because the Daleks are too much. But it could be because they're inferior Cybermen from that other world. They're not the original Cybermen. So we haven't had that fight yet, kind of thing.
Could be. Are we at that point where they have that banter and they say 4 Daleks against...
Oh, that was very
Oh,
early
that
on.
was, yeah.
That was during the
oh, yeah.
visual communication.
I like that line where he's like, I'll
They were
just
fun-
use 1 Dalek to kill all of you.
Yeah. $1 to kill 5.
I do like the Daleks as a villain are, I think, better just because they are more poetic. Even though they say that they have gotten rid of emotions, they do have a lot of emotions that are fun to hate
play,
or to be scared of. Where the Cybermen are a little too cold to really, you know, to be as scared of as Daleks. Like Daleks are malicious.
Yeah, but I don't think Daleks say they've gotten rid of all emotion. I think
Okay.
Daleks have just gotten rid of positive emotions.
Okay.
They have hate, and they're going to continue to have hate.
Okay.
The big thing that they get with Daleks, and it's mentioned in this episode too, is that they're encased in the metal thing, which fills them with rage. But they still have the negative emotions, and they still fear. It's the Cybermen that say we're going to
No
eliminate
fear.
all emotion.
Okay.
And that's why the Daleks scream.
Yeah.
But they are more poetic. They have better lines, better banter, even though most of it is exterminate.
Like
They are the mustache twirling type of villain.
Yeah, like what you were just saying, Eugene. I really liked that when the doctor brought that up. That's why they're always screaming like that, because they're actually mentally and emotionally tortured from the day that they're born.
Yeah, or converted or whatever you call it.
Created.
Yeah.
Rose and the doctor activate the breach and hold on to magnet clamps they attach to the control room walls. They watch as Cybermen and Daleks rush past them into the void. Dalek Sec executes a temporal shift and escapes. Rose's lever wasn't properly locked and slips out of position, slowly closing the breach. She goes to the lever and secures it. The breach is once again fully open. She falls onto the lever as the breach increases its pull on her. She loses her grip and is pulled towards the breach, when suddenly Pete transports in, grabs her, and pops back to his world just as the breach closes. Rose is left on one side of the sealed breach, while the doctor is alone on the other, never ever to see each other again.
Never say never ever.
I actually forgot what happened here, and that surprised me again, probably like it did the first time.
Right.
It's a great moment to have and to forget and then have again. I don't think that's a bad thing.
getting past her bad makeup. They filmed the two of them leaning up against the wall in opposite directions, but then you have to realize that they're really on the same wall. They're standing in the same spot.
But visually, we have to make the difference.
Yeah,
in
and
our
I like
mind.
the way they
Yeah.
did it. It gives them a connection and a separation at the same time.
And that is why they built the wall. Just for that scene. It had nothing to do with getting a focal point for the beams to shoot. It had nothing else. It's like we need to have a visual at the end because it made no sense up to then why they built the wall.
They're like, what's the saddest thing we can build? A wall.
Agreed.
Yeah. Keep out the alien horde.
When the Daleks started slowing down because, I don't know what happened, some sparks happened where it made the...
I took it as one of the Daleks flipping through.
But we're watching it, we
But
didn't
it
see
doesn't.
anything.
No, I know, but
I know,
that's how,
but that's
I
how you
take it.
justify
That's how I
it?
take it.
Okay.
But the one control lever, sparks start flying a little bit,
Yes.
and that's what loosens it. We don't know why. We were looking, we didn't see anything hit.
Damn British craftsmanship.
But then all the Daleks started slowing down, and I'm just glad they didn't see The Force Awakens to watch BB-8, because I could just see these little arms come out and attach them to the wall, and all the Daleks are now like stabilized.
I also think it's funny when they're flying into the void. It's like sometimes they're screaming, but sometimes they're saying words, and I don't know what they're saying. But I always have fun with that. I just envision them just being like, "Oh my god! Oh, I get you!
Oh, not again.
I'll get you!"
Your little dog too.
One of the Daleks disappears, right? Like
Dalek Sec, the black
emergency
Dalek.
temporal shift.
That
the
Dalek.
emergency temporal
The leading black Dalek. Now, did he take the other Skaro Daleks with him?
Retroactively,
He must
they all
have,
did.
yeah.
Retroactively, all four of them did.
To different
retroactively.
times?
No.
There's only
So
one.
he did a temporal shift
That's
just
what was
for
filmed
himself.
for this. Yeah,
But
because
what
there
we
was
saw,
no,
what we filmed.
There was no
He
plan.
didn't take the...
Yeah, at this point, we're never seeing him again.
But him being the leader, I thought he might have had a connection with the other three.
You could have. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that works too. It just wasn't filmed.
Back a little further, there's in the script writing process, there was a debate whether to have Pete or Mickey save Rose at the end, and they went with Pete.
That's better, I think.
I think
do
so
for
too.
the story, because it's better for that character to save the girl that he didn't view as his daughter.
I agree, and it
Because-
also.
But I think I would have liked it to have been a Mickey. But that's okay.
And the only way
I would have liked it to have been Mickey if they had also included another scene of Pete embracing Rose. Because remember, in his first episode, he rejects her outright and walks away. And in this one, that's not my daughter, that's not my daughter, that's not my daughter. And little bit he's coming around, but we don't really see it, And when he's yelling for them to go back and forth between the worlds, he's yelling for Jackie. Jackie, you're coming, And yeah, he does want Rose to go, but his focus is still on Jackie. So it had to be Pete. Do
I
that
agree.
because that says I'm rescuing my daughter at the cost of my own life. Perfect.
And I'm fine with that as far... I know it's not the same Pete that we met in Father's Day, but yet it sort of is.
Right.
So to me, that completes his arc as, he's doing the fatherly thing
Yeah.
to help his daughter.
Yeah, it's great.
No, I agree. Just how does he know to save Rose? That's the only thing that... Yeah, that's a plot point that's... Okay, quiet. Oh, okay.
I better go quick check, see, make sure everything's okay over there.
Delete.
Okay, in the
it is.
words of Auburn, it's either brilliant or
I was like, what do they know? Why did they come back?
Probably intuition.
there you go.
Well, they've probably been at their Pete's World longer than a couple seconds, so they could plot it out. We missed that whole scene where they're plotting it
They've
out.
been there a week going, okay, right about now. Well, because the rift is still open.
Yes, it is still open on
It
their
is
side.
still open on their side. Yeah. So
There we
come
go.
on, Dad.
Explained away.
If it was Mickey, I think that would have been wrong. I think that would have been seen more as her relationship between Mickey and the Doctor.
Yeah.
And her,
It would have been
but this was different, being the family relationship. He's doing it not only for Rose, but he's doing it for Jackie,
I can totally.
and for the family themselves, all three.
I can totally see why they debated it, but it would have reignited the whole love triangle thing.
Yeah.
Mickey with rescuing his love,
And
but
that's not
that's not
happened at this
Mickey.
point. That's
at
not what's
this
going
point.
on at this
Mickey is
point.
not in love with Rose here.
So I have a theory on that before Josh starts. It's kind of jumping ahead a little bit, so I could say it later. But again,
Go ahead, say it.
the love triangle idea, when they say a baby and he asks, "Oh, are you?"
Yeah,
if
Mickey.
it would have
Right.
been Mickey, it would have been assumed that she would have had
Yeah.
a child with him.
Right.
But this way, it kind of leaves it ambiguous. It's like, does she have a relationship with the Doctor? Or does she have a relationship with someone new? It kind of creates that whole idea of maybe there is more that happened on the TARDIS. So...
That one planet with the dinosaurs flying around or whatever was a quite romantic place.
Josh?
I was just going to say, to back up what you guys were saying about Mickey and Pete, that Mickey's arc is a little bit more what he's been doing, and it's Pete's arc that's been following more about what he's been feeling and accepting Jackie and all that stuff there. So I think, as cool as it might have been to have Mickey do that, his emotional arc wasn't even really being developed all that much, even in the prior episode. It was more about, like I said, what he was doing, and I think, they chose right for all the reasons you guys were saying, but also for that.
I agree. Yes.
Good point.
When Rose is so distraught and we get the wide shot, and so we see the three of them watching her. You see Jackie reach out and she takes Pete's hand, so they're holding hands, and then you go back to Rose for a little bit, and then when you cut back to the wide shot again, you see Jackie reach out and take Mickey's hand. And for some reason, that just, to me, it's a perfect little capper to their arc. She just, in that moment, she takes Mickey's hand, and from where Mickey was, how it fell apart so much, and she hated him, and now this is basically their last moment that we're going to see of them, and, everything's healed again, and it's like Mickey is a family member. I like it a lot. And the music that whole time is awesome.
The Doomsday theme. We are introduced to that wonderful theme. I love it.
Such good music.
It's got that driving bass line like the Doctor Who theme, and then it has the electric guitars that come in, and then the orchestra comes in.
And then the ethereal voice.
Yeah.
And did Murray Gold do all these?
Yes. Yes, he did.
I think he's the only person who's done music for the Doctor Who up until today.
Yeah, that's right. It's still him.
It's still him.
Months later, Rose
I
hears...
really like the music in that section too.
What was it called? Have we heard the Doomsday theme before this episode?
Oh, Doomsday?
Entitled Doomsday? Months later, Rose hears the Doctor calling to her. She gathers her parents and Mickey, and together they travel to Norway, Darlig Uld Straden, which translates to Bad Wolf Bay.
Dalek?
Darlik.
Russell, you are brilliant.
Where they see a projection of the Doctor. One gap is still open, but will soon seal. He is using a supernova as power to send his image through it and say goodbye. She tells him that she loves him. Before he can respond, the gap is sealed, and he is alone in the TARDIS. That is, until the sudden appearance of a bewildered, belligerent bride.
Oh! Before he could respond, my foot. This scene, it will forever be debated amongst Doctor Who fans, in my opinion, because he had time to say "I love you." He
Plenty.
chose to take his time.
Yeah.
with
I
those
agree.
three.
I agree.
Agreed.
But it's still powerful, and I still like it.
Well, what do you think he was going to say?
I think he couldn't say "I love you." And I don't think I felt that way the first time I watched it. I really felt like,
Right.
if he had just 3 more seconds, I think if he had 3 more seconds, he would have found other words to continue saying. Because here's what I think, that you go back to him in the TARDIS afterwards, and there's tears. But he can't even say it in the TARDIS. He wants to say that. He wants to tell her that, but he can't. He can't let himself do it.
But that is what he was thinking or trying to say.
I was going to say, does he...
No, he knows that he can't tell her that. So,
But does he feel it? In your opinion, does he feel it?
I think he won't let himself
So
feel it.
But I think he does, and he won't let himself.
I agree.
I think that's the slight difference, which may not be any difference when we talk it through. But I think he does want to say it, and he is trying to say it, and he finds that
He just can't.
he's
He is
incapable of
stalling,
doing it.
but
he
everybody
does.
stalls.
He has those feelings, and he's surprised, I think, after all this.
'Cause
he
he-
still has those feelings.
'Cause even Rose
he's capable of it.
Even Rose stalled. And she couldn't get the words out. I love you. I mean, it was even difficult for her to say it, and took a while. Now, he's worse. Don't get me wrong. He is, really, really stalling. But I do think he loves her.
I think she stalled because she was afraid he wasn't going to say it back. And he doesn't say it because he is emotionally incapable of doing it. I think he does love her. It's just he's the kind of person that shows that he loves people. He doesn't say he loves people. So it's just his action and fighting for someone and being there for someone and being sad over someone is how he shows love. But I don't think he'll ever tell anyone that he loves them.
Also, like, what would happen to the Doctor if he really, really did love Rose and now he can never be with her? Like, would he still be able to go saving other people? Would he still be able to be the Doctor?
That's an excellent point.
And that's why I think he can't let himself love Rose as much as she loves him, because he wouldn't be able to be the Doctor.
I can see that. I don't know if that's how I see the Doctor, but I totally understand that.
It's
I
just
mean, personally, I think it was going to be, if it's the last thing I get to say, Rose Tyler, I'm off to see Sarah Jane.
Rose Tyler, I will move on.
I really like that idea. I never thought about that before. That makes me think that part of what he was crying about in the TARDIS was him even realizing that. Like, he's more crying about he's not more crying about the fact, but just as much crying about the fact that he can't say it and get in that space. Like, it's more this. He's not mourning the loss of her, or he's mourning the loss of her equally to realizing this about himself. Now I see that you said that, I see that scene in a whole different light. I'm
more on Frank and Brian's side of not being able to love. Like what you're saying, it's like, he can't let himself love. He loves her, but he can't let himself show love. So, yeah.
He's complicated.
I think it's
very
all how
complicated.
we need to see the Doctor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, back to, like, this is my opinion because I need to have that opinion to be able to...
You're really changing my opinion of that scene, because now I'm thinking, how much did he stall? Did he intentionally show up as a ghost image so that she can say, you don't look normal, so he can waste time pulling more power to, I mean, it's like, you've only got a minute
2 minutes.
or two. Come
It says
on.
2 minutes, I think.
But you're wasting time to improve your, convert to HD. I mean, I don't think so.
No, I know.
No. But it's just kind of like my brain is now going, whoa, there's a different way of looking at this.
Because he did all that and burned up the star to say goodbye, because he had to talk to her.
Yes, he had to.
He had to say goodbye.
He had to say goodbye.
And I don't know if he was even planning at that time, thinking about saying I love you. That wasn't in his brain. It wasn't in...
Yep,
Right.
totally agree.
I think he does. For me, the reason I have to see it is I think he does love Rose. And I think it surprised him back in the Satan pit. He wanted to say it. Tell Rose, I remember we had that
She
discussion in
knows.
that episode.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
And then the beginning of our last episode, when they were on that planet, how long you stay, and she said, I'm going to stay with you forever, and he seemed okay with that. I think he has, in this embodiment in the 10th Doctor, where he wasn't even close to that in the 9th, but in the 10th Doctor, he fell in love with Rose. And he wants to say it. I think he really wants to say it, but he can't. I think he regrets it when he's left alone on the TARDIS. Because the way that Tennant plays it is he's still trying to say it. I can see the lips move on that scene, and he can't. And it's devastating for him that he's not able to say it even though he feels it, because of all the things that he has done in the past, because of he'll live on and she won't live on and all that. But it doesn't change the fact, in my mind, that he still is in love and loves Rose. Because I think in further episodes,
he
you
is
kind of see
totally
the
in love with,
reaction.
yes, he's totally
of
in
it.
love with Rose.
So I do think he did stretch it out. I agree with you on that. He did stretch it out, but I think he was trying to say it. And if they had more time, he would have. He wouldn't have come up with other words.
Well, I started off disliking Rose as we were watching the series
you?
over again.
Roll the tape.
As rewatching the series, I like her more now. I'm able to see more of her growth, instead of just seeing her as a whiny person that she was in the beginning. I watched the series through very quickly from the beginning and not really paid much attention. So to see Rose that heartbroken, it actually made me sad this time.
For the 9th and 10th Doctor, I think she did grow a lot.
She grew a lot.
Her character.
She showed love, all the love that she had, and she was very loyal and committed. And it just is a sad situation where she loves someone that she just couldn't have, which makes me still kind of mad at the doctor, the fact that he always picks a young woman companion to go around with him. I feel it's kind of the doctor's fault. But I still understand the complicatedness, and that's, not wanting to jump the timeline, but the doctor being an older man and showing that, look, I am older, and that convolutedness that comes with that, that made me happy, so that people can see, hey, yeah, this is why it's so awkward.
Right. I want to know if she has a brother or a sister.
We will find out.
Do we?
Yep. And that tease infuriates me. This is the story of how I died. No, sweetheart, you got your heart broken. You did not die.
Yeah, she did.
She did not.
This world.
In our world,
He was
she's
declared dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's not dead.
Yeah, it was a cop-out. I totally agree with you.
She's not dead.
Yeah, and wouldn't you tell that story to people? Here's the story of how I died. Obviously, I'm not dead. I'm talking to you. She didn't.
If they would have said, had Rose say, and this is a story of how it ends,
Yes.
would have worked. I've traveled around, did all this stuff, but then this is the year of the war, and the Cybermen, and Torchwood. This is the story of how it ends.
And we believed we would never, ever separate.
Right.
You told
And
me
this is how
my
it
father was dead. Well, from a certain point of view, he was dead.
And that f***ing cop out, too.
I mean, they did a whole nother movie about how he's not dead.
But, I mean... I'm sorry, I'm remembering that meme I posted on Facebook where Luke's actually, what the f*** did you just say?
Yeah.
And I would agree with you if they hadn't written in the doctor telling Rose, hey, you're dead. It works.
But when other companions
it works
ask,
for me.
what happened to this woman you're talking about? Did she die? He says no.
He says no. Really?
She's so very much alive, is his actual
I think-
words.
It works.
I guess,
it
you
works
know,
both ways, and I think that's why we're having this discussion now. Is that you can have it one way or the other, and we can still have a discussion about
yeah.
which one it works.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So that means Jackie's dead and Mickey's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Mickey was dead a long time ago.
And I mean, I think there's enough there that it depends on what mood you're in, on how you can take that ending. And I think it's great.
Just like we can
No,
take Rose getting saved.
No, because
You're misunderstanding. I don't have a problem with the ending.
No,
in any way.
I'm
I
not
have a
saying that
problem with
either.
the last line of the teaser.
No, I'm. Let me finish. I think what you're saying is that it's a hook to get people to watch it, and it worked because this had the highest of the even up against the World Cup.
Yeah.
And so I think for that fact, he did a good job because it worked.
Yes.
And to this day, 10 years later, we can still discuss this. I think that's also great.
But it could also be that this was one of the first times in the Doctor Who, I guess, current version that this sleight of hand is done.
Yes.
And so it worked. But because of subsequent ones that don't do it as well, it kind of taints all of them.
They earned it for you.
Yeah, they earned
They
it.
earned it,
Later
yeah.
on, no.
I also
but
think
for this, I will allow it. I like it. I think it works.
Also in classic, they've never done it this way.
Oh, yeah.
So I think to do it for the reboot and for the new viewers, they have to do something impactful.
Well, at least she didn't physically die, and she was brought back with the sonic screwdriver. So
Yeah.
at least that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't know, because a sonic screwdriver fixes everything, you know?
Except for
Opens the door to her heart.
the door is made out of wood. It wouldn't work.
It doesn't bother me like it does bother Brian.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I'm more on your
And
side.
I'm fine
But I
with
can-
it too.
Because I did, step right on your side.
This
But
is
it
the
is, I can see his point of view very clearly.
This is the package they
I'm with you,
presented
Brian.
us with, and I'm okay with it.
On a different note, a little technical oops at the very end of this episode.
Don't listen to this if you haven't watched the episode.
When they're in Battle of Bay and Jackie runs up to Rose to hug her at the very end. They have a long shot and you can see Pete and Mickey in the truck. Watch the rear tire of the truck because you'll see a little person step out from behind it. You see their foot and leg and then step back in.
There's another person on the beach.
This is the glass breaking for some of you. We apologize.
He uses a blue laser beam to break the glass window.
Did Rose getting out of bed at the end of this episode remind you of the first episode where she was getting ready for work?
Yeah.
And that same type of shape of the bed and her getting up.
Minus the alarm
To
clock.
me, it felt like it was going to be a bookend. They put
Yeah.
that in to be a little bookend of her last
Yeah,
scene.
one takes place during like day, and then this one is more darker, so it's like dichotomy. And also, when Rose says "I love you" to the doctor, he replies with "Quite right," which is what King Louis replies to the doctor at Girl in the Fireplace.
Quite right, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's similar.
It's also a British way of
Yeah,
saying.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know. That's his
Yeah.
response.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I love you, I know. Yeah, okay. You made a Star Wars.
And this is our first appearance of Donna Noble and our last appearance of Pete Tyler.
How come Pete doesn't come back?
His story's done.
He's taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
Which I think they actually say he's taking care of the baby. I don't know. That might
There was anything like the actor didn't want to come back?
I
or-
don't think so.
No.
Did Doomsday live up to the promise of Army of Ghosts?
Yes.
Eh.
Yes.
Or I could say no because of the...
The contrary nature of yourself.
Yes. Exactly.
They lived up 100%. I mean, it was a great
100%.
one
100.
big episode.
It's
It was done
fantastic.
so well.
I was saying to Frank last night, the first episode is set up, but it's really set up in a manner of it really is answering questions from the entire season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's exposition, but it's exposition we've been wondering about for a very long time now. And then the second one is just war, and it's great. It's just fight with great stuff
Yeah.
thrown in. Love them.
When I introduce Doctor Who to people, I always want to watch this two-parter with them for their first time because I want to relive it with them.
Yeah.
Like cathartic.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. This is it's emotional. It hits all the right beats: comedy, action, suspense, drama.
So you've just enjoyed hearing our thoughts. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'd love to hear from you. Please tell us what was the doctor going to say when he got cut off? Was he going to say "I love you," and why? Or was he just never going to say it and would have just kept running down that clock? And why do you think that? Please send us your answer and opinions to whoknewpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you. That wraps up season 2, Doomsday. We will see you next time when the future becomes the present.
Becomes the present.
You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook.
At The Universe Explodes.
All our episodes are engineered by our very own Auburn.
Find me at alburnbinkley.com.
You can find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcasts.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Who Knew Podcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
You can leave comments there or email us at
whoknewpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who.
The longest running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell,
Sydney Newman,
Verity Lambert,
Ron Grainer.
And all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain.
So, muting now.
Okay.
Boy, that Josh. Oh, my God.
he can still hear us.
Yeah, I'm the one who's mute.
Oh, that was great. You were able to stick for the whole thing.
Yeah, this is weird. Like, I have my iPad plugged in, and it's been draining the battery. It's down to 2%.
It's happening a lot today.
Some of us are hungry.